Welcome to the O Show, your number one podcast for everything training, mindset, and nutrition. I am your host, Oren McCarry, and it is my goal to help you access the best information around to allow you to kick ass in the gym, in the kitchen, and most importantly, in your head. Between my own experiences and those of my amazing guests, I'm confident we will do that. So let's strap in and level up your life starting right now. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, guys. Welcome to today's episode of the O Show. I am your host, as always, Oren McCarry, and today I am joined by a local Perth legend. We are putting the spotlight on another trainer outside of Team OMC, and we are speaking to Mr. Ryan, also known as BodiesByRyan, in Claremont. How are you, Ryan?
Good, mate. How are you?
I'm good, man. I'm good. Very excited for this one today, man. We've been teeing it up, and I thought this is a great little podcast because every second week I'm going to do like a business sort of businessy chat, and I want to highlight other trainers within everything every month, but also you've got a killer business, so people can learn a lot from you if they're trainers all around the world, wherever they're listening to this. And yeah, just dig into about who you are and what your brand represents and how you've built such an amazing culture down there in Claremont.
Yeah, well, I think first of all, we'll kick it off how I got the name, because the name's by default, because I get a lot of, especially my mates call me BodiesByRyan, and they love rugby by default. So I was a strength and conditioning coach at Christchurch Grammar School in Claremont for 5 years. So I coached, I did personal training out of there as well, but I coached all the rugby guys, the rowing guys, the AFL guys. Any sort of PSA sport had a strength and conditioning program attached to it. So that was my job there for 5 years. But over that time, I created some pretty good relationships with parents from the school as well. And I'd train them. And after, I think it was pretty much on exactly 5 years there, I had a bit of a discussion with the head strength and conditioning coach there, along with some of the guys from the school. And they just weren't really happy with the amount of volume of personal training clients I was bringing through there. So I had to make a call whether to pull back on personal training clients and really focus more on the school stuff, or step out and do my own thing. So I thought it was the right time coming up to that 5 year mark there. It's a pretty hard call to make because I really loved it there. They've got a really good community and great staff, and I really loved what they're about there. But I decided to go out and try and do something on my own, because I always like the idea of just doing more work with one-on-one people and really helping people transform, because I think what I learned over the process of the last 10 years of training and dieting and getting confident and, just hit my own transformation, I wanted to give that to people as well. So that was my main focus, stepping out into my first gym, which was in Government Road, which is in Nedlands, which is about 2 k's away from where I am now. I remember I went in there, I called the council, tried to get it set up. They said, yeah, it's all good. They didn't sign off on anything though. And then my first day of trading there, I didn't even have the dumbbells unpacked properly. And I had someone come in and complain about the gym, and I got shut down on the first day of trading. Wow. So I signed the lease and I pretty much put all my savings into all the equipment costs. And then the first day, I was training my first ever client in there, and I had a guy from the council come down and tell me I had 30 days to shut it down. So
wow.
Days, I still had all my clients in there, and I was still training everyone. And I had a few loyal clients that were trying to help me build the business up, even though I wasn't sure what was going to happen after that first month. But I had a few people that would literally come down to the gym or call me and say, oh, hey, is this BodiesByRyan? Because Instagram name. And I just said, oh, yeah, I guess this is BodiesByRyan. So on that last day, it was pretty much the last day of trading down at Government Road at my first gym there. And one of my clients came in and he asked me what I was going to do, and I wasn't sure. And he gave me the number of a guy that worked within the showground, who managed all the leases in here. So I met up with him, and he showed me through this gym where we're in now, which is what we call our BBR HIIT gym. And we signed a lease on that. And that was, we opened April 2017. So 4 years we've been going for now. So that's a quick little backstory of how BodiesByRyan came about. So
nice.
If any funny name, that's how it came about. So I just sort of had to run with it after a while.
Awesome, man. And tell me about, because obviously this is going to be a business-minded thing. So how did you mentally cope with that whenever you were first day, you're all buzzing, you get in for your first client, you're just about to lift the dumbbells out for them to use, and they're like, mate, you got 30 days to get out of here. How did you mentally cope with that?
Mate, I was probably one of the toughest times because on my circumstances as well at the time, I think I'd just broken up with a girlfriend. My housemate that I was living with moved back to Melbourne, so I was living by myself, paying full rent on a house. And I just remember being, I did have a few sleepless nights there where I was just worried about what I was going to do because I didn't want to go knock on Christchurch door again. I didn't want to feel like I was going backwards, but I also didn't feel like a commercial gym was a right fit for me and what I wanted to do. So I wasn't sure what I was going to do. And knowing that I just burnt, 20K signing that first lease and all my savings was in the equipment, I just thought that I had to make something happen. So I was trying to pull on as many strings as I could, and not growing up in Perth either. I didn't really have many connections, but I was just leaning on a lot of clients, asking for their help, and eventually something came up. But it was a bit of I guess my back was against the wall to start within those first 30 days of trying to start a gym.
Yeah, man. Yeah, sounds like you went through the ringer in your first 30 days, man. But like, how did that then, like, were you able to get out of your lease because the council hadn't approved it, or did you still have to pay your lease? How did that sort of work?
Yeah, so once you sign the lease, there's no way that I was getting a refund on any of the lease. I think I think it was just under $20,000 that I end up losing in there. But I always think 20K is better than 2,000. So it was just a quick little lesson because the guys at the council said it because where I was positioned, I was next to a cemetery and a water board. So the guys from the council actually used to laugh with me about it, and they said, "Look, I don't think you're going to wake anyone up or annoy anyone down there, so you should be okay." Yeah. But there's in the area that did martial arts, I think, and he wasn't too keen on me opening up. So he's the one that put the complaint in, and it's just the one thing I learned from that is that the power of one person when you've got a commercial lease is pretty strong. So you've got to make sure that you've got all your boxes ticked before you put any pen to paper. Yeah, man, 100%. And I'm sure then you made sure you didn't make the same mistakes when you met with the guy in the showgrounds then, right? Yeah. I went over the leasing contract pretty closely and just above board and knew that it was a good deal that I was getting into. So I was much more confident coming into the second one. That first experience. And I think it's just a good lesson to be learnt that you've just got to, you can't sort of cut corners when it comes to that stuff. You've just got to do the work and make sure that you've got all the right policies and everything in place to make sure that you're covered to set yourself up before you start your business. Yeah, 100%, man. And then what was the time elapsed from those first 30 days and then starting in the showgrounds? Were you homeless as a business for long, or? No, that's literally done over the weekend. So wow. The day down at Government Road, I've got a couple of mates come in. A couple of my best mates have their own building companies, so they came in with a couple of big trucks and we loaded. To be fair, it wasn't much equipment at that stage anyway, so we did it all in one hit. As I said, it's only a couple of k's down the road, so we brought it in. But the place I had leased, it was just so old, so I was trying to paint it and set stuff up at the same time. But it's literally closed on the Friday and then opened back up on the Monday in the new space. It just, it was still half painted and half the flooring was down, but I just sort of tried to make it work the best I could for just to run the classes that I wanted to run with the clients. Yeah, man, nice. And then obviously you've had this loyal group of clients who'd followed you from the PT days at Christchurch and, who stayed with you for those 30 days, and people were inquiring during those first 30 days and the business was gaining momentum. So how did you then build it to, like, what was your lead gen strategies for building it to the juggernaut that it is now, with the reputation you've got? Well, I didn't have many, mate, to be honest. Like, I think how I work is very much, jump off the cliff and build the parachute on the way down. And I never really intended to set out. I didn't have a business plan. I didn't sit down and write down business strategies and lead gen. And, 4 years ago, that's only when Facebook was really starting to come out with Facebook ads. So all I really was looking for, Matt, was a place to train my clients. That's all. I wasn't out to start a business, or I didn't have revenue goals or profit goals or anything that that you probably should have before you start a business. I just genuinely wanted a space where I could train all my clients in, and that's what I found. And from there, it sort of it was just one thing after the next. And we went through a bit of a sifting process at the start, because once we got to a bit of a stage and we decided to do some actual classes rather than just me doing PT in here, a lot of my clients that followed me through that first part of the journey, they didn't like doing the classes. So I actually lost a fair few clients at the start as well. So it was a bit of an interesting process at the start when you change your systems and when you make change to your business, because people don't like change, but they don't also like if you stay the same. So you've got to do what you think's best for you and what you want to do, and just follow your vision. Because I did always have a vision of doing a lot of PT clients. I never really liked group training that much, but it just sort of evolved that way because there's a lot of people trying to train at 5, 6, and 7. And a lot of the programs I was writing for people at the time were pretty similar. A lot of the mums I was training, it was all, a lot of just squat and deadlift technique work at the start. And then I just superset it with a lot of core work. And I just thought, well, I've got these ladies here squatting. There could be other people doing their core work on the ground, or I've got them, deadlifting over here. We can be doing some conditioning work over there. So it sort of just evolved from that on how I was writing programs. So I just thought, if I've got all these people want to coming in at the same time, and I've got the space, I've got 200 square meters here now, and we have 24 people in our classes in our HIIT studio. It just sort of evolved from that, and over the time we've just tried to get better and better with our programming, and now we sort of have a set schedule where we always program for 8-week blocks at a time, and we program bi-weekly. So over the 8 weeks, week 1 and 2 repeat themselves throughout. So week 1 is week 1, 3, 5, and 7. So it's nice and fresh for our clients, because that's essentially how I always program for clients anyway. It's always been an 8 or 12-week block.
Yeah, nice, man, nice. And then how did you mentally find it going from like knowing PT to then, like you said, you didn't really like group training, it just kind of evolved. So did you eventually just be like, you know what, I'm okay with this, so this is where I've kind of got to now?
Yeah. So I my first thing about group training was I didn't like what I saw other group training facilities were doing. Like, I didn't like having a ton of people in one class, and I just thought it was kind of messy. And I just always thought that I couldn't deliver a good service managing that many people. So when I was doing the classes on my own, I have always about 10 to 12 people, and I thought that was quite manageable. And all I did was just make sure that when people come in, they either went through a consult or a PT, so I knew that they knew all the movements that we're going to do anyway. So I wasn't trying to teach someone how to do a bent over row that for someone that had never trained before while a class is going on. So I was pretty strict in how I was set up at the start, and on how we got people in, and making sure that people were capable of doing exercise and they knew the exercises before they come into the classes. And then once everyone knew what to do, it just became a lot of fun. I spent a lot of time creating playlists, and just made sure that everyone was really engaged. I made sure that every time someone would come in, they'd be greeted, they'd be, become a part of the team, part of the community. As cheesy as it all sounds, it's the stuff that we've sort of based our business around, and getting people in and making them feel connected and a part of a team is what's probably kept people around, because we've still got clients here now that were with me at Christchurch. So they've stayed with me for the entire journey. So I think there's got to be something in that. And I definitely don't think people are hanging around to hang out with me the whole time. I think it's definitely system and within the members that keeps them coming back.
Yeah, nice, man, nice. And then obviously you're 4 years in now. You were saying, like, when did you start to think about either hiring trainers for the front end, like taking classes, or did you hire like assistants and admins or social media marketers? Like, how did you then start to expand whenever you decided, right, it needs to be more than me in the business?
Yeah, so I think when I started getting more than 12 people in per class, and at the start, I didn't have a booking system or anything. It was just word of mouth. And there's one morning there where I think, I still had a whiteboard. I didn't have the programs written up on the screen. I was still doing the old school whiteboard method. And when one morning there was just cars kept pulling up, and I'd never have 12 exercises drawn up, because I never thought I was going to have over 12 people. And then there was one morning, I think we had over 20 people rock up, and I just, as people were coming in, I was warming them up and writing out more exercises on the board, and it was just absolutely chaos. And then after that day, I'm like, I need to get some systems in place here. So I got the Mind Body. We're about 3 weeks away from releasing our own app. So we've been working on that this whole year. So I'm really excited for that to drop, because it'll be another good value add for everyone. But we brought in the Mind Body system, and then I sort of made a rule that is if there was over 12 people per class, would have 2 trainers on. And we still have those rules now between both gyms, because we have 16 people up training in our strength and hypertrophy classes in our other facility. So if there's over 12 people in those classes, we always have 2 trainers on, just to make sure that everyone's form's spot on. And, you know, the big thing that we really push is like the vibe and the energy has to be there, because I think if it's not fun and if it's not engaging, I think I've been to a few group classes before and the trainers are just sort of walking around, and I, you know, to be honest, I just can't wait to get out of there, because it's boring. And I just think if you're going to go and train in the group, you want to have a group experience.
Yeah, 100%, man. And like when people ask me about around that area, like for models, I was like, you got to go and look at how Ryan does it at BBR. Like, what's he like? When people are like, well, what do I charge for group coaching? I was like, Brian's like the premium trainer down there. Like, you've established yourself as like this super high quality service. And like you said, it is different. Like if you're talking about group training down there, the only ones I probably know is like F45 and, you know, CrossFits and whatever. And you kind of just completely separated yourself from that pack with, you know, how you run things. So what would you say would be the biggest 2 or 3 things that are different about BBR classes versus, you know, F45 then?
Yeah, well, probably the first difference is that we've got HIIT classes and strength classes. So even though it's called our strength gym, it's more strength and hypertrophy training. So that's probably our main offering, is that if you were to look at group training facilities or group classes in the area, we've got 40 spots between both classes. As I mentioned before, we have 24 people in our HIIT gym and 16 people per class up in the strength gym. So there's more opportunity to train at those peak times. So when we get people in for a consult, they might come in for a trial class or for a consult, and we just sit down and we really sit down and work with them. So we really try and adapt our systems to them and really get a good insight into their lifestyle as well, especially when people come in and do the 6 or 8 week challenges. We put a lot of time in setting up their programming and scheduling their weeks for them, because I think if it's all written out and they've got it all in front of them and we take away all the roadblocks, it becomes a much simpler process. And when you spend the time educating people on the systems, they're more likely to engage and implement it and execute it better as well. So that's probably the main point of difference, I reckon, that we've got HIIT training and strength training. And when I sit them down in the consult, I explain the benefits of both. And I always suggest, you know, if you do like strength training, you still do at least 1 HIIT training session a week, you know, to increase and improve your cardiovascular health. But if you love, you know, the cardio stuff, you know, maybe do 3 or 4 sessions down here, but make sure you get a lower body day and an upper body day in a strength gym as well, just so you have a good balanced approach to your training. But yeah, we talk with people about nutrition as well. Even if they're not doing the challenges, I'll just try and make sure that they've got an idea about, I think a lot of people don't really understand what eating healthy is. So I think there's there's still a lot of people out there that aren't really educated enough just to simply have a healthy day of eating. A lot of people that come to BBR really undereat. So I'm really passionate about teaching people about food, and, you know, being on a diet isn't all about being in restriction. It's just about being educated on food and knowing what to eat and when.
Yeah, man, and that's a massive difference between you and F45. Now, I don't know personally, so I'm not going to bag them out. This isn't an attack, but I've heard like the diets that they give us, these sort of challenges for their 8-week challenge or whatever it is, they're pretty basic, and some of it's like outdated stuff, and they're trying to get like people off caffeine and everything else. And, you know, having a coffee a day might be a part of somebody's favorite routine. They might like walking to their favorite cafe and talking to their favorite barista, and that might be a great part of their day. And then they do this challenge and like, oh, I can't have my coffee, and it just doesn't fit in with their lifestyle. And I think, you know, if you're doing it properly with proper education around nutrition, and you went through it, like we spoke before about your experiences with coaching and how you don't want other people to go through that. So I mean, that's massive. And, you know, I think even people seeing you where you've committed yourself to like dieting for stage and stuff, people use that as the motivation of, right, he walks the walk as well as talks the talk. He doesn't just tell me what to do. He's a living, breathing example of it.
Yeah, we work with people a lot with their nutrition plans, because One, it's a real funny balance, I think, at the start, because first you've got to understand what people eat during the day before you even look at giving them a food plan. And like I mentioned to you earlier before we started recording, you know, I've actually started studying food nutrition at uni this year, just so, you know, it's only part-time, but in 6 years' time, I'll have the degree under my belt, which I'm looking forward to, and I'm looking forward just to learning throughout that process as well. But I think matching people's what they eat currently, and then trying to find calorie intake for them that's going to be manageable. Because I think if you try and just work out an equation and give it to them, it might be so high that they, you know, feel bloated and they can't digest the food. So there's so many variables. And again, I don't bag anyone's processes or anything's out, because I don't know enough about it. But what I have heard, and some of the feedback I've got from other places that do try and do challenges, it's simply like one food plan, like how I've been coached before in the past by old bodybuilding coaches. It's like one plan, there you go, I'll see you in 8 weeks. If you want results, stick to it. But we're much different. We've got a bit more of a different approach. So when people come into our challenges, we sit down, we do a consult, we take before photos, and I build out people's food plans with them in the consult. So I make sure that all the foods work for them. I make sure when they go away that I've ticked all the boxes. They've got a good amount of fats, carbohydrates, and proteins. I just think we put them in their day in a smart way, where we put, you know, just for example, we'll put all their carbohydrates, you know, pre and post workout. So they're utilizing those carbs when they're working out. If their goal is to lose weight, because we still have a lot of people that come to BBR to put on muscle and to gain strength as well. So meeting people where they're at is probably the biggest thing, mate. If you've got approaches and protocols that you know that work, and then you can adapt them to your client or to your athlete, I think that's when you see some really good results. Understanding people's lifestyle and how they can implement the food. And one biggest thing, the most simple thing to bring in, you know, another example, is that a lot of our demographic are mums, and they don't have time to eat a meal through mid-morning. So a lot of the diet plans that I write out or suggest to people is to simply have a smoothie at that time. So it's not rocket science, just to work out simple ways that's going to help people get through the day and make sure that they get all the nutrients and all the calories into their system.
Yeah, man, 100%. And like you said, you know that a lot of your target market is females, especially moms, and like you're tailoring the service towards what that person needs, right? It's not just like, oh, here's your diet plan, go and do it, and without taking into account what the lifestyle is, what they like to do. Can they eat? Can they not eat? Like, do they like to eat in the morning? Do they like to fast? You know, there's no personalization with the standard sort of cookie cutter way that other challenges and stuff might go, man. So I think that's a credit to you, man. But one thing as well, you've obviously expanded online and you're running your challenges online, right?
Yeah, so because we run 4 8-week challenges a year, and they typically just fall a week after school holidays, because again, our demographic, you know, mums and dads. So everything has to sort of work in line with the school year. When we set people up, we just go through that same process of just getting them in, setting them up, and just working from there. And that's the thing. The challenges are built out 8 weeks at a time for that reason. So when they come in, we've got that time to go through everything with them, and then just the challenge within BBR. And the online stuff came into it because the way the school year falls, if we get someone that calls up halfway through a challenge and they're ready to go, I didn't ever want to put it back, because at the start when we didn't have the online model, I'd say, okay, yeah, challenge doesn't start till this date. And if they didn't want to come in and train normally, if they just wanted to come in for a challenge, then we'd lose clients and we'd lose them at that time when they're really motivated. So we created an online membership just for that reason, where even we have our online members that train at BBR, which can be quite confusing to people at the start, but it's simply just a process that we've built out and a system that we've built out. So when people come in and they want to get going and they're, you know, to strike while the iron's hot, we just put them into our online membership. So we'll run an online challenge this year as well, but it'll pretty much be exactly as how we run BBR challenges here. So for anyone that's not at BBR, they can come on board and do it themselves, and we work out the training and nutrition for them. But we also have people who still train at BBR that count as an online member, if that makes sense.
Yeah, fair enough, man. Fair, and it's clearly working because you've got good numbers in for your latest one online, and everything seems to be flying there, man. Right?
Yeah. Yeah, so it's good. It's been another process that we've just has just been built organically, where I've just sat down and thought, okay, what's a process we can have in if our challenge are only going to run on these certain dates, then I need a funnel to put these people into, and then leading up. And what's worked really well this year as well is we'll get people in, we put them in as an online member, whether they're training at BBR or not. And then when the challenge actually rolls around, then we just put them into that challenge that's happening at that certain date and time.
Yeah, nice, man. That's pretty cool. That's pretty cool,
Yeah.
man. So, I wanted to think of some quick fire like advice for people who are listening to this. So, if somebody is currently in a facility or a school or anything like you were, and they want to move away and open their own facility, whether it's group training or PT or a full-on gym, what's the one bit of advice you could give them, or what's the biggest thing you would do in hindsight about opening your own facility?
Yeah, probably the first thing I'd say, mate, before we get into that too much, I think from my experience talking to other PTs and some PTs that we've had come through the gym, because I put how we set our personal trainers up at BBR is, as long as you're in here and you do 10 classes a week, you just do PT for free. So we don't charge any rent or anything like that for our personal trainers. That's it. I want to give them an opportunity to come in and use facilities, as long as they're being loyal and a good trainer at BBR and giving their all when they're taking their classes. And if they're bringing their own clients in, we don't take any percentage of their clients or anything like that. I put that as another offering to them to say, if you're going to do the marketing and if you're going to bring your own clients in, I don't want to take any of that off you. I want you to make a good income. So you're earning good income from your own personal PT. Then you're also earning income from the BBR classes as well. But what I've found doing that is when PTs come in and they're fresh, a lot of them don't really understand that it's a business, and you've got to do a lot of back end work as well. So before you start your own PT business or before you start your own gym, you've got to understand that it is a business and it does take time. There's a lot of stuff that you're not going to necessarily like doing, but it's all part of the process. It's just like any other business, I guess. I just think that probably a lot of people get tied up because they love training so much. They go, I love training. I've done a bodybuilding comp, or I've done this. I'm going to start my PT business or gym. But it's completely different. Knowing what I know now, I love my training, and I look forward to my training sessions every day a lot. It's always a highlight of my day. But my training and work are two complete different things. So my focus when I'm training is obviously on my training, and that's what makes me feel good, and I like progressing through there. But it couldn't be any more different to some of the stuff I do at BBR during the day. So it's a big change of hat. And, the work is a lot different to what I very first thought it would be. Just coming in and training clients and, writing the occasional program. And it's a lot of back end work. So just be prepared for that before you get into it. Just be prepared to do the work and just make sure you really love it before you commit to it. Because I think, you can really love training, but you can also really not love doing the business work.
Yeah. Fair, man. Fair. And like, what about somebody doing group training? Like, what's the best advice? Obviously, you've transitioned from PT to groups now, and you're well known for the groups. So what's the biggest bit of advice to somebody who is maybe currently doing it and wants to do it a little bit better and a bit more successful, or somebody who's brand new to it and is like, I think I want to go down the group training route or semi-private, PT route? What would your recommendation be there?
It's got to be of a high standard. I probably spend over a week when I start nutting out. So we're in week 6 now of this program block, and I've already written out 1 week of programming for the strength gym. So it probably takes me a week in total to figure out the programming between both gyms. So I always have an 8-week or a 12-week framework for that, and how it's going to lead into the next block of work. So if we're working through strength progressions with a back squat, stiff-legged deadlift and glute thrust through this block of work, then that means the next strength progression might be a bench press, military press, and sumo deadlift. So whatever we're doing now always dictates what we do next. because we're always making sure that we're rotating through each strength progression with different exercises. I sit down and I calculate all the volume of sets that we put through upper body and lower body through the HIIT and strength classes. All the days match up. So if you train in our HIIT gym on a Wednesday, you know that you can go to the strength gym on Thursday and you're not going to be training the same muscle group or doing any of the same exercises. So calculating the total volume between both gyms, working on the strength progressions, what they look like, it takes a lot of time. But I think yesterday I put up a post, when I completed that first week, and I got a lot of messages back saying, when's your start? I'm so pumped for the new programming, because I know that's how I feel. When I get a new coach on board, I'm pumped to see what I've got lined up and what I'm going to be doing for the next sort of block of work. So I put a lot of time and effort into that to make sure that it's all working well. The classes are hard enough. There's a good balance between core and glute work, and there's a lot of opportunity for guys in 1 week to do, it might be a few good heavy chest workouts in the first week, but then that'll be balanced out through the second week with a lot of rowing exercises, or might be a bit more shoulders and back through the second week. So doing the programming across 2 weeks gives me a good range and a lot of freedom to do that, because I know that I can sort of balance it all out. And I can recommend to some guys that say, week 1, Tuesday, upper body, you get a bit more chest in that, whereas the upper body session the following week is a bit more shoulder and a bit more back based. So we sort of spread it out across those 2 weeks to make sure that everyone's got a few classes that I like. All the classes in the strength gym now seem to book out weeks in advance, because all the mums love getting in there for all the lower body days. So they're probably popular classes and always have a few on the wait list for those ones. So yeah, that's probably my biggest advice. If you're going to do something, I think just make sure there's integrity behind it, because I think there's a lot of group classes and a lot of places I've heard of where, they might still be doing, after they finish a day of training, they'll write up the next day's program for the following day, where they don't really have a set structure or anything like that. Where I've always been, from when I very first started training, my first program was an 8-week block. Then it went into a 1 week deload, and then a 1 week primer, and then I went into the next block of work. So it was almost like a 20 week program from the start. So I've always been used to working in different phases, and that's what really gets me excited as well, knowing that I've got a projected future. I know what I'm working towards. I know my goals. I know my progressions, and that's what keeps me engaged.
100%, man. And that just what you said there in that last clip just shows the level of thought you're putting in it. Like you say, you're not just rocking up and like 10 minutes before or the night before being like, right, what we do tomorrow? Let's do some burpees and some mountain climbers and whatever. Yeah. So it shows the level you're at, me, which is why you're the first person, I'm pretty sure the first person on here who's the group training specialist. And I think we started off with a really killer one here, man. But what's next for Ryan? What's happening with BBR coming up? What are you excited about for the future? Like, is it more challenges? Is it more online? What's coming up?
Yeah, so the challenges are, we don't ever, I can't remember the last time we did any marketing for any of the challenges. Usually I'll put a couple of posts up on Instagram with just saying dates. But usually we get about 15 people in, even sometimes 20 new people in for a challenge block. And we'll always get, of those, if we get 10 new people in, we'll always get probably 5 referrals from those people into the next challenge block as well. So they, had a phone call yesterday from a lady saying, it was my birthday on the weekend, and he asked me what I wanted, and I couldn't think of anything except for a BodiesByRyan transformation. So, quite funny, but she said that she'd been watching 2 of her friends go through the last 8-week challenge, and she said, I can't believe their results. So that's what she wanted to hit up. So, but it's little things like that make me really excited, because I know that we're going to get people in, and the best feeling for me is when we get people in. I take their after photos, and we've got 2 events that we have throughout the year. We have one mid-year event where we give out awards for the transformation winners for the first 2 transformations that we run. And then our Christmas party, we have that as the end of year awards as well. And we give out the transformation prizes for the second year. And what I do is, when with before and after photos, with everyone's consent on those nights, I'll flick through, I'll have a big screen up, and we go through everyone's transformations, and we have our before and after photos up there. And it still gives me the biggest sense of satisfaction when we put up people's before and after photos, whether they've done 4 challenges or their first challenge, that's what's the rewarding feeling for me, is knowing that we've helped someone achieve their goals or moving in the right direction toward their goal. Because there's been that many times when I've compared photos and showed our clients, and I've nearly been bowled over. They've hugged me that tight, because for the first time in a lot of people's lives, especially a lot of the mums that have had, there's some mums in here that have had 3 or 4 kids, and for the first time in their lives, after having 4 kids, they can see their abs for the first time. So that stuff's, I think that's what keeps me going and getting up out of bed early and coming into the gym. So the challenges sort of roll through themselves. We max them out at 50, and they've been full for probably the last sort of 18 months now. So they sort of keep running themselves. We are always looking to expand, but our main thing is just that we don't rock the boat too much here. I think we've got an awesome thing going here. I love the membership base that we have. So I'm very, very wary of not rocking the boat here. We've got phenomenal staff as well. So we do have scope now to probably look at doing another location. But that's probably a little bit ahead in the future. We're just really focused on making BBR better all the time. Like, we're bringing out the app. We've got some merch stuff coming up. We're redoing our website. So, every quarter we sit down, myself and 2 of the main trainers here, and we just sort of always think, how can we make it better? Can we get, we've got a new cable machine. We've just ordered some new equipment for the strength gym again. So I'm slowly filling out the strength gym with more and more equipment. We've got, tons of hammer strength stuff through there now. So, most days of the week when I'm just walking through, I just think, can this be cleaner? Can we have another speaker somewhere? Does that fan work best there? It just all those little things add up, because I think when you come into a gym, I think, first impressions last, and coming into a clean, tidy gym that's well organized with functioning equipment, with good flow, all those little 1%ers really make up to the entire experience. So I'm just forever trying to make sure that we're giving the best classes, and we're coaching at an elite level. So the online membership is good, and it gives us a funnel, but I don't have a goal to be just an online coach. I think we've got probably 30 online members at the moment, and it's that's probably enough for now. I think we probably bring a few more new ones on when we come into the challenge time. But when we bring challenges on, they've got they all come into a Facebook group, and on a Sunday we get everyone to post up their food prep pictures, and I go through and I check all their pictures to make sure they all look like they're all correct according to their plans. And then on Wednesdays we have a check-in day, so people will send me a graph that we send out at the start, and on that graph they put in how many sessions they've done for the week. They put in how many times they've done for cardio, whether they've done a walk and for how long. They put in how many times they've meditated, and that all spits out a big graph for me, and I just sort of overlook everyone's graphs, and then I update people's plans from there. So with the 50 challenges and the 30 online members, it's 70 check-ins every Wednesday. So that keeps me busy enough. And
busy,
around, mate, when that it's hectic, because I'm trying to get in 50 people to do consults for 4 photos, 50 food plans, and to get everyone set up in that first challenge week, because we always do a trial week at the start of the challenges as well. So we make sure we iron out all the creases. So essentially your 8-week challenge will become a 9-week challenge, because I think the results we see from having that trial week at the start is really important as well, because I think if you stuff the first week up, or you don't really have an idea on how to do your food prep, or you missed a couple of sessions, it can be really demotivating to move through the challenge. So we always start it with a trial week, so we make sure that it's a bit of a practice run. We all post our photos up. We all check in on the Wednesday. We know how the systems work. We're all on top of it, and we can really just ask any questions we need to in that first week. And then we really hit the ground running. So essentially you've got 8 perfect weeks, or should have 8 perfect weeks to go through your transformation. So they're just the things that we just make sure that we're on top of all the time. So no one gets missed, no one feels left out. Everyone's plans updated. We review everyone's plans every week, and then give everyone like a little bit of encouragement and motivation as they work through their weeks.
Yeah, man, that's awesome. I think it shows like you've got a robust system there for members' results, online, in person. Like, you're really thinking about the service. I mean, even now, if people aren't watching, because obviously this won't go up on YouTube, I'm not sure right away it's going to be up on Apple first and Spotify. Like, very clean gym in the background. You got the logo, you got the picture of Arnie there. It just looks clean, it looks tidy, it looks very neat. You got the black and white color scheme. it looks spot on as a facility, and you can tell that everything is thought about, like you say, music, check-in experience, how the members feel. I mean, everything just seems to be very well oiled, and it's great to see, man. It's truly great to see. And that's why you're going to keep growing. And, if you do want a second facility, you're going to go to the second facility, or more online, or more in person, and bigger classes, or whatever you want to do, man. I know you're going to hit it, because it is a well-oiled machine, and it's just going to keep getting better for you, man. So, yeah, man, I can't wait to see what you've got in store.
Yeah, thanks, mate. I appreciate it.
Mate, so obviously people have been listening now. They might be a fan of your business mentality and want to follow along and see how everything works, or they might want to just follow, or people might even have listened to this who are thinking about joining BBR, and they're on the podcast because they follow you and you might share it and whatever. Yeah. How do people get in touch, and what's the next steps after they get in touch then?
The easiest way to get me is on email. So I am shocking at getting back to text messages, because I don't know what's going on these days, but it seems like I get a message from Harvey Norman or supplement companies, or my phone is just always full of text messages, so I don't reply to many texts these days. So email is the best place to get me, which is just ryan@bodiesbyryan.com.au. Instagram pages, we've got our Bodies by Ryan Instagram page. I've also got a personal Instagram page, which is pretty much me just doing bicep curls. Probably not the most exciting page to check out, but yeah, Bodies by Ryan Instagram page. That's where we just highlight our clients' results. We do a little bit of we just really share what we do in the class and the community. And I'm pretty good at the stories, pretty hit and miss with the posts on their Instagrams at the moment. But we do try and display what we offer in our classes, and try and showcase the vibe and the energy that we bring to the classes each morning. So email if you want to contact me directly and want to know anything more about the classes or memberships or how challenges work, if I haven't explained it very clear enough in the podcast. But if you just want to follow along, we've got our Facebook page too, but that's pretty much all filtered from our Instagram pages. So Instagram is probably the best place to check us out on if you want to know a little bit more about how we operate and how we run.
Awesome, mate. Awesome. Well, there you have it, guys. We got Ryan Devereux from Bodies by Ryan, killing it in Claremont, and the person to go to see for group training in that area. So check him out. If you liked his vibe, give him a follow, and check out what he's all about, man. I can't thank you enough for your time here, buddy. There's tons of little nuggets in here, and I think it's been a great episode. So thank you.
Easy, mate. No worries. Thank you very much.
Thank you, mate. Take care.
Thanks for joining me on today's episode of The O Show. If you know somebody who needs to hear this episode today, please share this with them via message or on social media. Don't forget to also take a screenshot and share it on your story and tag me at Oren McCarry, so we can continue to grow the podcast and help more people change their lives with the advice given here. Also, keep the 5-star reviews coming over on iTunes, as that helps people who normally wouldn't listen to the show find it and get The O Show in their ears and drive the podcast forward to help more people around the world with the advice here. Have a great day, and I will speak to you soon.